So I think today what I would like to do is show you a little bit of Madmapper. I'll start by going on the website, showing you where it is, how you can download the demo version if you're interested. Talk a little bit about the website. There's plenty of good tutorials on the website that helps you that lets you get started. I would also then like to show you the actual Madmapper program. I'll be using screen capture software which I downloaded from the App Store, and that'll give you a generalised look and feel of how the program is and a bit about how I intend to use it. So for this demonstration purposes, I have created a small video in Adobe Premiere Pro where I spliced 2 or 3 videos together so I could play it all in the sort of one program, which would again be projected onto my installation. So to import media, you simply click on File, Import Media. A little box will open up. Again, this is Mac, so if you're on Windows it might look slightly different, but it basically just takes you to inside your computer where all your files are stored, and then all you have to do is navigate to wherever you keep your videos or images. So in this case it's college, Bachelor's Honours Degree Year 3, Studio Practice, Videos, and then I've created a little video here called preview.mov, which stands for abbreviation for Apple is .movie. Right here, files of type. Right now it's set to images, so it actually won't let me click in any of these to import. If that's the case, you just need to go here. You can tell all the file extensions here, so it is actually, a lot is supported, so regardless of the kind of file type you want to import, most of them will be supported. You need to go down to movies. Again, there is a large range of movie file types that is supported. So all I need to do is click on movies. It will now let me choose a movie. It could be any one that you like. Again, for this tutorial, I've created a small one called Preview. So I just open that up. You should see here over in the movies that the preview movie has been imported. I can then click on that, or double click on that, and it's now playing away in the input window because this is what I've wanted to input into Madmapper. But as you can see, it hasn't put it out on the projector yet, or the projector screen. So again, like it says over here, you have this little quad icon, and this opens up a new panel where you can basically start adding layers using your quad selection tool. You also can add triangles or circles, and you can also mask things as well, and which we'll get to a later time. So what you want to do is add a layer, a first layer. It's always default surface 1, default surface 2, default surface 3, and so on. So it's always good practice, which I found out very quickly, to name your layers so you have a rough idea of what each layer is. So if you have 3 boxes, try and figure out, you have box 1, box 2, box 3. If you have panels, panel 1, panel 2, and so on and so forth, wall, ceiling, floor, however you think that you might be able to want to do. Now what you can do is you can turn off the projection aspect of it, so it can just be in here, but say if you have 5 or 6 projections and you just want to sort of turn one off, sort of 5 or 6 layers and you just want to turn one off, you can double click, you can click here on and off. You can also lock the layer, so regardless what happens, you can no longer edit it by accident. And in here again, this will let you choose whatever part you actually want to project on the output. Down the bottom here in this little panel, you have various ways to manipulate the layer. So the opacity basically just means how the strength of it, the more see-through it can be, so you can fade it out very much. So obviously 10%, you can boost it right up to 100%, or you can sit somewhere in the middle, depending on the strength. Or if you were overlaying 2 or 3 videos or images, you can obviously have things playing through, and so on. Blend mode, again, you have various blend modes. You would need to sort of have 2 or 3 layers overlaying on top of each other so you could actually see the differences in the blend mode. RGB, which is your basic screen colours. These 3 colours make up every colour you can think about in the screen. By manipulating these, turning off the green, you get dark blues. All the colours on the go 100%. Take off the blues, you can see the colours start to become different. So you can play around with them if you were trying to maybe create some quick and easy colour effects. Position. This lets you manipulate sort of pixel by pixel, as you can see as I'm holding down here, 37, 40, 50, 60, and it's sitting at the minus. As you can see, this section here was moving away. If I begin to decrease this back to 0, mind it's at minus 30 there, so it's gone back to 0 now, you can see the panel beginning to move back in. So that's your X and Y. Again, X is obviously left and right, and your Y is up and down. Set that back to 0. Your size. So as I manipulate this, you will see your size box and height box here adjust and move. So that's how. And if you obviously have specific math that you want to do, so screen sizes, so if it's 1024, you can put that in by 768, which is like a standard sort of website screen size, as you'll see here. That's, you've got that right there. Obviously these aren't set up to specific sizes, so it is what it is at the moment. For this purpose, I'll just put it back to its default size. You can flip it. So on the right hand side here, the F tells you which way it would sort of be, back to front, left and right. Perspective. Mesh warping. Mesh warping, what it does, as it stands right here, it's just one large square. But if you have a series of complex lines in here which you want to try and map onto, you need to create something which is called subdivisions. So subdivisions, as you can see in the left hand side here, begins to subdivide the object up. So I've now went from one large square to several squares, and then in the middle here I can begin to manipulate the projection at quite a complex shape. Now this is obviously just playing around, so it looks horrendous and it's not supposed to look like anything in general, but if there was a very complex shape within the middle of here that I was projecting onto, I can then subdivide it into as many squares as I like, and then begin to wrap the texture or wrap the projection round about that shape, and you can have as many subdivisions as you like. So there you go, and this is crazy amounts. In fact, there you go, it stops at 30, so 30 by 30. I think if you need more than that, you'd be struggling. So you just click 0 on the keyboard, 0 on the keyboard here. I should be able to click 0 on the keyboard. I think you should be able to, but it's obviously not let me. So let me go back to 1. Ah, that'd be why. Sorry, you need at least 1 square. That's why it's not letting me click 0. So yeah, so that's your mesh warping. And you can also create a mask, so by clicking on the mask and then drawing point here, point there, sort of just mask off the bit and hit enter. As you can see where I have drew this mask square over the tree and then hit enter, it's now told the input that you no longer want to see this on the output, and that lets you mask off. So for instance, if you were projecting onto a building and you wanted to project onto everything except the windows and doors, you could then obviously just draw your mask in. Just make a sort of, so you have this mask. If you click edit mask, you can move it around. So we have worked our way through quads, we've added a mask, and we've also shown about subdivisions. And you can obviously just turn your mask off because we don't actually want a mask. So to make, like I says, we have one quad here, which is just giving us one layer, in this case one big rectangle, and we are projecting the whole of the video onto which would basically be just a large rectangle screen on the wall. So let's say we are projection mapping a corridor. So if you can imagine the projector sitting at one end of the corridor pointing downwards, pointing down the corridor, and we want to project on the ceiling and the two walls to the left and right hand side of you. So we would create one layer and we would call it left wall. Left wall. Okay. I would then choose the exact section that I would like to project onto. So on this side, as you can see here, I'm picking the exact part of the video that I would like to project. And over here, this is where you can now manipulate the actual projection. So as you move this corner, the projector should also be projecting exactly as is. So if you leave the corner like that, you're going to get this obscured sort of projection. And you can just sort of sit there. So say we have the corridor or the hallway that we're in. The wall is obviously starting here and it's beginning to move down. I would then create a new wall and put, for instance, right wall. I would select, I'll select just the same section of video for ease of use. And I would just sort of move the projection corners into place wherever you would sort of like it. As you can see, there's still a lot of black being projected here, or there was a lot of black being projected here from the last video. So I would click on right wall and I would bring the projection in to make sure it's not projecting any of the black. I would then create a third and could call it back wall. Okay, so you now have a large wall here. And this is your... So you now have... You can maybe even bring them to there and there. So if you can imagine, you're standing in a hallway. It's a dead end of a hallway, or it might not be. You could maybe add in on the back wall. You could add a mask, and on the back wall there would be, say, a door. That's a door, very roughly. And then you just want maybe one more ceiling. Okay. And you could just put that there. You match the corners. Now remember, when you're matching this, your projector is basically matching it. So you then have your whole room or corridor that's been mapped out. Your left and right wall, your back wall, and your ceiling. As you can see here, left wall, right wall, back wall. So they're all sort of telling you what they are. Now you won't see this. This is just for your benefit only. By the by the software. And what they would do is obviously, so you obviously know that this is your left wall. You could find that, you know that this is your left wall, and you can find that in your panel over here, but you don't obviously see this. And this is how you can create very complex looking projections very quickly. And that is basically your Madmapper. Now again, unfortunately, because you have this Madmapper watermark, this is on your output screen, and this is what's projected onto your projections as well until you decide to make the purchase of the actual program. So that's really the basics of Madmapper. And so that's the basics of Madmapper. You have your left wall, right wall, back wall, and your ceiling. And as long as you have sort of a projector that can hit all four of these, then you can obviously create some very stunning visuals very quickly. You have a little button up here, which says here is your main projector. So you can have one projector, which is everything that's coming out of that window. You can add in a secondary projector and get it all hooked up. So your main projector maybe wants to focus on, again, this is done in sort of like dimensions and things like that, so you need to figure out your maths, see your output sizes, which is all done in here. Your secondary projector can focus on other parts as well, so you can get some really crystal clear sort of images and things. I will only be using one projector. I think just to keep things sort of simple and a little less complicated, but you can actually, and you can, as you can see here, you can add in as many projectors as you like. So you can obviously get some really crystal clear and some very complex shapes, because if you obviously want to project on the front of something and on the back of something, you won't be able to do both just with one projector. So just delete all these at the moment. The presets tab, this lets you create various presets. So for instance, this is a preset, so I've done various things, created 4 quads, created a little mask, I could have created some other complex things here, and I can get in here and I can basically save this as a preset, and instead of preset we could just call it theme 1, and I could just click and I could just save that, and then when I open up Madmapper next time, I would just need to go into my presets and click on theme 1, and what's here would basically appear again. So that is sort of the basics of Madmapper. You'll be learning those basics by knowing that everything's done in layers, by creating layers, and choosing a selection of the video that I want to project, then manipulating that projection to where I want it to project onto, plus my little effects panel, if you like, down here. You can then, with a bit of imagination, begin to create some very complex projections. This is one of the longer tutorials that I've done. It was just because I was wanting to try and get across how the program actually works, the software works that I'll be using. We're currently on the October break at the moment. It's Tuesday, so it's only the sort of second day of the October break. The David Johnson, who I am currently working with on this project, he's working on the installation this week, so hopefully he'll get the installation ready this week and constructed in some form, and then by the beginning of next week I'll be able to project onto the proper installation or maquette size, which is I think about 1 metre in high, and hopefully, yeah, by the start of next week we'll be able to project onto that maquette, and that will give us the proper final look and feel of the actual installation. I'm not sure how he's been getting on. I'll need to contact him very shortly just to make sure there isn't any hiccups or anything that he maybe need a hand with or anything like that. But as it stands just now, I think the project's well on track. I just need to concentrate on a lot of the administration stuff, a lot of the sketchbook work, make sure that's all up to date, and then by next week I think we'll be in our final stages of basically just polishing the project up and making sure it's ready for its final presentation to the McRoberts Centre staff.